Hi, everybody. I'm here today with Monica. We wanted to welcome you. We spoke, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago about healthy boundaries.
Mhm.
But today, let's look at if there's a way to recognize that somebody's invading your boundary. If you can feel it, you can see it, you can hear it. um,
Mhm.
I feel that a lot of times comes like that emotions or that kind of invasion comes to your body. So we wanted to
Mhm.
discuss that with you today. So Monica, what do you think about this subject?
Yeah. Oh, I love the subject because you're right. I think so many people aren't sure how to tell, right? So, what I generally will tell my folks is that the majority of your thoughts and emotions first come through your body as
Mhm.
sensations. So, the more clear we can become in terms of the sensations that your body is feeling, that is going to precede the kinds of thoughts and emotions that you have that follow. So, a lot of times people are trained to look at what are the thoughts or what are the emotions that you have. But the way I work with folks is really in how to attune and listen to the communication from your body. So, the ways that we were talking even just before we hit recording was just sometimes the sensations when a boundary has been violated personally for you is that it can come through sensations in your body. So that can look like tightness, tension, discomfort in your gut, in your chest, in your jaw, in your throat. Oftentimes, that's where I will have my clients share with me that if they have been suppressing or holding back an emotion or having a trigger or a reaction to a boundary violation, it oftentimes comes through in one of these places, right? The
Yes,
mouth,
yes, right here.
jaw, yeah, right in here, or in our chest and in our core area. So I generally will tell them to sort of check in with this area and what sensations do you notice here that might let you know that you weren't comfortable, you weren't happy, you felt disrespected or violated with that thing that happened.
Yeah, exactly. And it's we can tell when we meet some people, even if we know them or no, we don't know them. Their energy doesn't sit well with our energy, and there's some emotions that or some interactions that are from the past. But then with the people that you interact all the time, and you're good in most of the time, but what comes up for you that you feel that tightness in your chest, in your jaw. I had a client that I was telling Monica before we came on that we talked about it, and she had this TMJ for a while, and we processed it together, and we realized that she kept all those emotions, all the stuff that she wanted to talk to her husband. It was here, and she couldn't get it out. So I guess it was her own boundaries that okay, I don't want to share this,
Mhm.
made uh, that discomfort in her jaw. And as soon as we processed it, and she step by step had the conversation with him, first of all, conversation with herself, and
Okay.
through our work
Yeah.
together, and what she wants to say, what is she feeling, and that feeling part of it was huge for
Yeah.
that openness.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
uh, and then she didn't have that anymore. It was just so amazing how, as Monica is saying, that our bodies are so connected to our emotions.
Yeah,
And
I will often say, like, you'll either gonna feel it with your heart or you're gonna feel it with your body, right? Like we've got to either feel it, emotionally, or our body will carry the sensations and the energy for us.
yeah, that's why I believe that all the illnesses that is out there, it has part a lot to do with your emotions, with what's going on inside. So I do. I mean, my shoulder was hurting, so I asked myself, what is it that is bothering you, that
Yeah.
it's coming out in your shoulder? And it was, as soon as I asked myself that question, it was like, it's just like you wonder, and it was like a question mark. to see what would my body would tell me, or what would come to my mind. And yeah, it's amazing how we are so connected, and we
Yeah.
never thought of it before. Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell my clients, like, this is connected to this through your spine, right through that vagus nerve. There's this thing here, this head, this brain is connected to your body. And so a lot of the thoughts and a lot of the emotions that we think solely exist in our head, there's a lot of information that actually comes first through the body. It's 80% of the information is moving up to the brain and only 20% down into the body. So a lot of the information about what you're feeling and what you're experiencing is in the body. So
Yeah.
when we can connect with that and strengthen our communication to our body's sensations, we can answer some of those questions, like, what is this about? What is this? Is there an emotion I'm not letting myself feel? Is there a boundary that's been crossed that I need to reinforce? Right? When we can check in with our sensations and ask these questions, oftentimes we can get that relief.
Yes, yes. And it's, I mean, if you work on it and be, I think I mentioned it before, that put those alarms on your phone a couple of
Mhm.
times a day to see, I mean, check in with yourself. And
Yes.
specifically when there is some sensation in your body, it's like, trust your gut. If there is interaction has happened and you felt your stomach doesn't sit well, or anything, any sensation in your body, just ask yourself, what was that interaction? What did it made me feel that
Mhm.
I don't feel, right in my stomach, in my heart,
Yeah.
in my jaw,
I
in
even think asking yourself, to add to that, like, what does this remind me of?
remind me of.
Because it may remind you of a past boundary violation or a separate situation where maybe a boundary was crossed, and so you might have to check in with, okay, my body's wisdom is that this has happened to me before and I didn't like it, right? So it's
Yeah.
trying to remind you of that
Yeah,
experience.
exactly. So
Mhm.
it's, I mean, it can be sometimes a little bit complicated to, so if you do this often, then you will know if
Mhm.
this thing, whatever is happening is from the past, or this incident is just from this interaction. It's interesting. We had a live this morning and we talked about the limiting beliefs. So everything
Mhm.
goes back to that.
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So this has happened in my childhood, and
Mhm.
if I feel that somebody is leaving me, uh, and even if they're going, I don't know, to for the weekend or 2 days and coming back, but what does that mean for me and my body? Is it from
Yeah.
that past? Oh,
There. Are you back?
sorry. So I was saying that something that has happened from us, those limiting beliefs and those interactions, we can just have that connection with ourselves and our bodies, that we can ask ourselves that question, and that would be the key to understanding if there is any discomfort, and trusting your gut,
Mm.
knowing that if there is something is bothering you in the body, there's something you need to pay attention to.
Yes,
Right.
definitely, definitely. Learn to check in with yourself, set those mini breaks. Practice attuning to your body, right? Practice movements and noticing, how does this movement feel? Does this movement feel tight? Does my body feel relaxed when I breathe this way, right? By starting to be more self-aware of your body and the sensations that happen with different movements or different breath patterns, or drinking water versus tea or whatever, as you start to become more connected to your body sensations, and that is going to help you to start to decode the sensations and the cues that your body is signaling to you, so that you can more effectively trust your gut,
Yeah.
and really start to learn, okay, I know what this wisdom is trying to tell me. I know what the sensation is trying to communicate to me.
Yeah, and then I guess the main step after that is the communicating it clearly and assertively.
Yeah.
It's because then you will know exactly where you are, what you want, what your feelings are, and if
Mhm.
it's even if it's the bring something for you from the past, it's being vulnerable and just explain or talking about it and saying, this interaction, this made me, not about the other person, it's just about yourself, made me feel this way. It brought me back to when I was 6 years old and this incident has happened. So then your partner or whoever you're talking to, they will understand you better, and actually you became more closer together, because they would understand where you're coming from, and they will be open to share their own. Everybody has their own limiting belief from any part of their life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the more clear that each of you are in the relationship, the more self-awareness that you have, and the more self-attunement you have, then yeah, you'll be more efficient and more effective at communicating with each other, and receiving that communication through the lens of love and respect and appreciation.
Yeah, and acceptance that, this
Yes,
is what
exactly.
happened, it's okay, and this is who I am today, and I do understand what has happened in the past has nothing to do with my life in where I am today. Because I mean, despite what has happened in the past, we all have came this long journey, and I'm sure that if you look and see, you have done so many positive things in your life that you can point those things out for yourself, not just those, that incident that happened through those interactions when in childhood.
Mhm.
So just continuously bring yourself back to the present time.
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. Exactly. Got to be where your feet are today, not, back in your 10-year-old feet or 16-year-old feet or wherever,
Oh my God, even if you're 4 year old or 6 year old, yes. I mean, I can say that I was in that 6 year old for a long time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so questioning myself in these new interactions, where am I today?
Yeah.
And it becomes, the good news is it becomes easier and easier to get yourself back to the 50-year old of today
Yeah.
versus the 6 year old. And then thinking about it and say, okay, am I interacting from my 6 year old or 50
Mhm.
year old?
Yeah,
So
you become more you clear and differentiated in your adult wise self versus your younger part selves, right? Like you can learn that and really know that about yourself, and then it's easier and easier to find your way back home to your present adult self, right? It's just
yeah,
like yeah,
exactly.
it's just like any excursion that you might take. The first time you take that trip, it might be confusing and you're not sure how to get there, but after you've visited that place several times, you know your way around.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lifetime journey.
Mhm.
And I've had a workshop on Saturday, and somebody asked me, so how long is it going to take me to get to this place? And I said,
Yeah.
it's a journey. So
Yeah.
for some people it takes longer, for some people
Yeah.
but know that if it will break you down 10 days in the past, or 5 days, or your stomach will bother you for 4 days, or if now, after practicing this and being consciously in the present moment, then
Yeah.
it can become 5 minutes, it can become 2 seconds, because then you ask yourself the question, am I that 6 year old, or am I the 50 year old that I can communicate effectively and lovingly about what my needs are and what makes me happy and comfortable in this interaction. And it's become simple. But there is it's a journey, and it can be done. If I have done it, and many other people in the past have done
Yes.
it, if you have done it, so
Yeah.
it's possible to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is.
Anything else you want to add to this, Monica?
No, I would just add, I always want to add the caveat that, like, for folks who feel like they can't communicate their boundaries, you may not be able to yet, right? Like there's always going to be some discernment that I want to like throw out there to people, right? Like if you have in your gut, you know that a boundary has been violated, but you also know in your gut that there's not enough safety in the relationship to communicate about this boundary violation. And I want you to listen to your wisdom. I don't want you to throw that out, but I also want you to do what you can do in this present moment
Yeah.
to honor that boundary violation. And that may be speaking with your therapist or with a coach or with a colleague or with a friend about what you've experienced to validate you. But you may need to have some additional resources or supports in place before you can communicate the boundary has been violated
Yeah.
safely, right? And so I just want to honor that people are at different stages in their journey. And while, you and I, when we're talking with folks who are in coaching, their needs may be a little bit more, they might be more high functioning in their needs. I always want to honor folks who are like, I really feel like everybody's telling me to say something about this boundary violation, but I don't think it's safe. I want that person to listen to their inner wisdom about that. If it doesn't feel safe yet, I want them to get support and feedback about, does it not feel safe because it isn't safe, or does it not feel safe because you've never done it in the
Exactly.
past, right?
Yes.
And it's been safe. So get support and feedback around that element of things first, but listen to your wisdom, keep yourself safe in whatever ways you know how and whichever ways you can, and let's challenge it or explore it in coaching and therapy, and let's see if we can change those environmental spaces that you're in so that you can have more safety to speak
Yeah.
about your boundary violations.
It's all about the
Yes.
process of how, as you said, with a coach, a friend, and maybe you need all three or four of to
Yeah.
process at the
Yeah,
beginning. Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you
Absolutely.
need that. And then you get to a point that it will becomes a second nature. You process it faster, sometimes on your own.
Yeah.
And sometimes you make a phone call and that's it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's everything's gonna be working out for you. I'm 100% sure.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're always here to answer any questions that you have. And Monica's information is in on the description. Mine is on there too. Reach out to us. Let us know if you have any questions. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.